Hello, beautiful souls. So, the demons who made up their story of wisdom and Sophia, reproducing ignorantly without the will of the Father, the soul producing ignorance without the will of the Father. And so the demons like to say, like, that's their, like, point of reference to make up, like, a religion that makes the rebels of this earth feel like there's something in order so that, like Lilith, so that they can embody them and take space within the shell of the body, because they'll keep telling you that you're just a shell, that you're just a vessel, that, you know, you're just a vessel to house the soul and the chi and the spirit that they need. And so also, like, the scripts will tell you that you're just a vessel, but that's so that you know you're not this body and you're not this mind, that you're eternal. So the negative things use it to destroy you, the truth. And the positive things, all positive truth for you that you're needing at the moment, is going to build you up. If you're not ready to accept it at the moment and it's not building you up, just say, you know, to your soul, oh, you know, well, you'll make that clear in our own time when it needs to, because as the soul activates, as I was saying, and spreads through the body, the Son, the God, the Son, okay, the Christ, returns to the God, the seat on the throne, the Father, and judges eternally, as one soul with God can, and only can, the self and the things around it. It is one with an eternal king, not the netters, not dead kings, not things upping themselves on the energy of pyramids, which don't work anymore, and or you or ziggurats or any of that. Now, at the same time, I mentioned how I work with totem spirits, which is what these spirits were made for, was to protect people's lands. And when the people started becoming corrupt and not knowing their own belief system and started using these spirits just for evil, that's how they fell. And the American Indians and those before them will tell you they started to use the evil, and that's how they were destroyed, which is always the story everywhere. Atlantis, you know, you name it, all the stories. They just start playing with the darkness more than light. And they use these spirits, these smokeless, colorless flames that you can't even see. They use them, these light, these chi points, these energies within the ground on these ley lines, and the bodies of the dead, the bones, piezoelectric, and these things, these mounds attract lightning and plasma. Therefore, there is a conglomerate of living spirit of all the ancestors within that. So basically, you're saying you want to take all your ancestors and do evil for yourself and the whole earth, because that to you is true power. And we know it isn't. And so that's why the wisdom of the mounds and these serpent mounds and their kings and their kingdoms are wiped out over and over again. Now, when I work with something, I state I don't want to work in darkness, you know. I want to work from the center of God, from the seat of my throne. Love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, meekness, self-control. There is no law that can stand against that. So when I stand in that, nothing can stand against me. And so this is why I say when I work with these mounds, I don't just go throw vegans and spices and flowers, though all those things are great. I give them what I eat. I give them what I cherish, which is money, which is food, which is what I eat, which is, you know, things that are of me. Why? Because that's what I need to honor, to put in my body, and I can't argue with it, because I literally go off my diet, though I cheat at times, I'll admit. I go from the center of my soul. When my soul impulses towards something, that I know it needs it, and I eat it, which makes shopping a little difficult sometimes. But mostly that's meat right now, because my body is having to build up to go through what we're going through right now. I'm saying my body, who I am, O positive, related to the ancient Scandinavians, which means the tribes of my ancestors are Finns, Phoenicians, which that's a created fake term, which some people will say the Finns are the tribe of Dan. Yet the Finns in the box talk about existing as the Nordics within the ground for 100,000 years during the Ice Age. All right? And people want to argue what's the oldest religion? The one with the lion head? You know, the extraterrestrials, the terrestrials, like everybody's arguing about who's what, and I don't care because this is my kingdom. Like, so I will work with external when the internal kingdom is saying, hey, work with this. Like, why am I here? Why am I learning from you? Teach us what we need to know. Guide us with our I am, because we're still here. Anything that is here is still learning from here, and needs to honor the fact that it's learning as God within. God is seeing a reflection of itself. And so it's really hard for me to not like and love things around me, because that's my nature to do that. And you can't always, because people are dangerous and spirits are dangerous, and there is entropy here. And so every once in a while, those entropies, those things that have gone to evil and darkness and low energy, they need to be cleansed off the face of the earth and go into the dark hole within and exist no more. No matter where you want to say that dark hole is, that black hole is, because that exists externally in nature. It exists in all of us. And it isn't evil unless you coin it as evil, like people do with everything else here to make division. And I refuse to do that. I'm just like, hey, I surrendered to you, God, that's seated on the throne of my soul, the Most High, creator of everything. You can't get it wrong that way. And then you wait for the impulse of God within you, which is hard. Like, it's hard to do. And so the more you change, the more the temple here and here are prepared. The more this one bows, the more this one takes over, and the whole earth changes around you. Everything changes around you. You don't believe anymore because you know, and then you believe and know you've always known. And it's kind of backward from the way we're taught, but that was how I was taught channeling. In other words, to step out of the way for my Holy Ghost in order to channel. Now, like I said, the people that I was with, they believed that you can't channel and you can't see the future or have any of the gifts that I had unless you are an off someone. So this is the teaching of the Satans and the warriors and the war gods and the warmongering energies. They take over that, the eye of Cain, so that, you know, they can see and be the judges of God. And you know which God. And they just want to off the people that have the strongest power and the strongest light, because they basically embody people, and they're basically like the Igigi, like they became the judges of this planet when they were originally the slaves. And then now we got basically slaves running a slave planet via the elite and their bodies. So it's very messed up here in this energetic thought form, and it's changing. Not only is it converging with other realities and galaxies, but the human being through which God's views is the lens of the heart, is the eye, the center. That is also changing, and how it perceives is changing. So when we perceive something, this bowing to the soul, not offing souls, and we also, as women, when we lose a child who is the most dear thing to us on earth, and that child dies within the temple, the mound, the body, you get capabilities other people don't have. if you lost someone at a very young age that you love, like the Harry Potter movie kind of goes with that, then you also have this connected portal to the other side that you see through. For me, I was always a little weird and different from the get-go, but for me, it was my grandmother died and then I lost a child, and that child was still within my body. So it was stillborn. And because I wanted to go through a natural birth, I always have, I waited to have that child until my body expelled it by itself. So by that time, the child was broken down in the body and absorbed. The energy that was absorbed back into me. And so it's a portal to seeing from another angle. Women have a ability to see from another angle because we also have a womb, which is representation of that whole sea or soul, where souls are birthed from. The stars, the nothing. So I don't see my womb as evil. I don't see anyone with a womb as evil, except people that don't know what they are and they're not enlightened to who they are. And that is because of these dead kings that want to continue until people no longer want any kings and they're sovereign beings, which is what they dread more than anything, because they're not sovereign. They need other people to survive. And as that reality changes and is brought up before the collective to see, which is the judging eyes of God, those things will be judged naturally. Now, going back to the possibility of this 1,000-year reign having ended of the Lucifer that was released again, if that is a possibility, because of course it could be if 2,000 years really have gone by, it would have meant that the fall of those great, beautiful cities where people had free energy, like Tartaria and all that, existed on this plane, but not in the visible realm of the dead, of those shaitans living here. It was just kept separate until they were allowed, as they do with every cycle, to embody people again and to rise up. And now, if this is the end of that 1,000-year reign of that being here, then it's loosed again within the mind and the landscape and the body system to do its thing, but it'll only reign for a short time before it's completely squashed out, either by the Enchristed new earth being or by the fact that everything is wrapped up from that past and goes back to the black hole, the darkness, the nothing. And if darkness is nothing, how can there be weeping and gnashing of teeth there? There's not weeping and gnashing of teeth until you comprehend that you were always part of nothing and you always go back there, but you don't want to be there. You're fighting it, and I'm not going to fight anything. No part of myself. To continue ever on is to know that you have two polar opposites, the negative black hole and the positive light, and you bring them together as one, and you form a third and multiple functioning systems within the third, because the division makes the third the in-between realm, which is you sitting in heaven on your throne. And then also you've got the whole bubble, which is, some people call your monad. Well, actually that's a spiral going ever on eternally, which is how I got involved with the other people I got involved with, because I studied alchemy. They wanted to know how to live forever when their only way was hopping to body, because they couldn't comprehend that your light and your dark has to be one, because they believe they weren't made for that. They believe they're this jinn or jane or fourth dimensional thing that they've allowed to inhabit their body, because something convinced them they have no soul. You can't sell your soul. They're convinced you can because they're using the energy of your chi, but they convince you you're lost to God. You're a lost cause. I've taken you over. Your body's worthless. You're nothing. Just let me drive you. I'm now the master and the God. No, that's literally not how it works. You never owned your soul. The collective owns the soul, which is the collection of all the minds of God, and not one is ever lost. These parasitical things are the things that are going to be lost, not us. So like Christianity is built on the belief, and the worship of these demons and demoted things that have to exist here before a time, which is why the Vedic scriptures also make a ton more sense. And also have the same stories about the demons and the jinns and the jains and all these things that are already in the Bible. So I'm going to leave it there. This one's a shorter video because my family's home from church. So now it's time for me to go outside and get some of that energy I was talking about. Thank you.